We are in a series called The Good Man, 5 Qualities of True Manhood. And the last few weeks I've talked about the survey that was done with military cadets, Army at West Point, asking men how you would define a good man and how you define a real man. But what we need, men and women, is a robust, biblical, moral vision for your masculine heart. And it's not really out there. It's certainly not moral, and it's certainly not biblical. But in the first talk, I talked about quality 1 being seeking the first thing first. So putting Christ first. And so when we talk about being a worshiper and a warrior, that's what we mean by putting worshiper before warrior. Is because there's a lot of men that are warriors, but not a lot of men that are worshipers and warriors. And so being a worshiper is what tenderizes our heart, as it were. It's that relationship with God of intimacy. That's really hard for men. Women are so much better at this than we are because we're not feelings driven, we're not feelings oriented. Quality 2, though, is a warrior focus. And so we need a worshiper focus, but we also need a warrior focus. So turn in your Bibles again. We looked at it last week to John 10:10, and then I want to look at quality 3. So look at John 10:10. And let me encourage you guys to bring a literal Bible with you. And the reason I say that is because we're always encouraging around here taking time to be alone with the Lord every day, beginning your day with God's Word. And I think you're less distracted if when you get up in the morning, and I think morning is the best time, though it doesn't have to be that time, that you don't look at your phone, and you don't look at your text messages, and you don't look at emails, but you just open the Word with your journal, and you spend some time in prayer, Bible, and journal. We call it PB&J. So I encourage you to bring your literal Bible with you when you come to Wholehearted Men. We do the same thing at the road. We always tell people to bring your literal Bible, and it's fine if you don't. I'm just encouraging it because then you're going to underline stuff, you're going to write stuff on the margins that are going to be continually in your possession that you remember. Like I'm in a fast right now. I'm fasting right now about some stuff, and then I've got my journal, you guys, and so God spoke to me. It's sort of interesting, the word 20, the number 21. Here, let me go backtrack a little. Whenever I fast and pray, there's always a theme. I always get a theme from the Lord. And this is the strangest thing, but when I was starting the fast, I got the number 21. And I don't know why. Maybe it's prime time prayer. I don't know. But that was my number in football and baseball when I was a kid was number 21. You guys know Deion Sanders' number is 21. He's Coach Prime. But I did feel like there was something to that. And then a few days later, I was in Psalm 21. And I wasn't even thinking about 21. It had been like six days into the fast. And then God spoke to me some stuff in Psalm 21. The reason I say that is because if I were to open my Bible for you right now, my study Bible, not my teaching Bible, you would see on Psalm 21 a bracket for the first few verses, and then I wrote up there the date, and then I wrote the fast, what I'm calling this particular fast, and then what God said to me. So it's there, it's indelible, it's marked there for all time when I open that Bible. So what happens is you start developing a history with God, a secret history with God that nobody else knows about but you and the Lord, that's written in your literal Bible. And so let me encourage you to have a real Bible with you that you're reading from, not just, your phone. Well, John 10:10, as I talked about last week, and when I talked about a warrior focus, the thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. And what I shared last week is that God, speaking through his son Jesus, gave us these two sentences together. They're actually married together. And if you were here last week, I said to have a warrior focus, you have to have the first and second sentence together every day with everything that you do. In other words, you're not going to have an abundant life without fighting for it. You're not going to have an abundant life without a mindset that there's a thief that wants to come and steal your abundant life. Jesus put them together. And so a man of God has a warrior focus, and so you kind of have this attitude of bring it on. So it's getting this bring it on attitude that I've been talking about now for months on my team here at the Road, and then I blogged on it, and then I've mentioned it here with you guys. Really, last night was interesting because Liz has all these leaders, all these women leaders come into our house tonight. So she's got everything set up. It's just beautiful. I've already got the fireplace, the wood-burning stove ready to go. Strike it, ready to go. Everything's perfect. And then at about 3 a.m. we hear, and it's my lab puking all over the carpet and stuff. So she comes back and she says, bring it on. Bring it on. It's going to be a great day today. And I was like, wow, that's a change in attitude, you know. But that's a warrior focus. Instead of being surprised by hardship or being surprised by people who don't like you, or it's hard at your work, or you got a ticket, whatever it might be, you start having a bring it on attitude. Now, I'm not talking about stupid stuff you do where you bring it on yourself, but I'm just talking about life, you know. It's like the guy who was driving down the road. He likes to drink a little bit, goes to the bars and stuff. And this cop had pulled over this guy, and he looked in the back of his car. He pulled him over for speeding. And he said, what do you got back there? And he said, well, those are machetes. And he goes, well, why do you have machetes in the back of your car? And he goes, because I'm a circus performer. I juggle machetes. And he goes, no way, show me. So he gets out of the car and he starts juggling 3 machetes. He said, give me another one. Then 4, give me another one. 5, give me another one. 6, give me another one. 7. And he's sitting there juggling 7 machetes on the side of the road while the cop is watching him. And the dude who likes to drink a little bit comes by and he goes, man, I got to quit drinking. These roadside tests are getting way too hard. So here's quality number 3 this morning. Quality number 3 is strong relational skills. 5 qualities of true manhood. Quality number 3, strong relational skills. Men who don't work on their relational skills don't do well as husbands and fathers. And most of the time don't even do well in their jobs. Statistics show, and this is really interesting, from Nancy Pearcey's book on toxic masculinity, that you would think those who have no church background, no Bible background, completely secular, maybe even atheist or agnostic, would have the worst marriages, would have the worst jobs, worse opportunities and chances for promotions in their work. But it's actually not true. Actually, it's nominal Christians. Nominal Christians have the worst marriages. Nominal Christians get fired more often. In other words, those who say they're Christians, but they don't regularly go to church, they're not regularly in prayer, they're not regularly in the Bible, but they call themselves Christians, statistically are the worst husbands, the worst fathers, and lose their jobs more often. 30% higher than secular men. So what does that tell you? It says that God doesn't bless posers. God does not bless posers. As a matter of fact, that was probably the chief enemy of Jesus while he was on the earth, were the hypocrites. Were the Pharisees and Sadducees. They were just posers. In other words, their job description actually, as religious leaders, was to control people rather than equip people. And Jesus noticed it. And that's why in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, 6, and 7, Jesus says, you've heard it said. And then he gives a religious dictate. And then he says, but I tell you, and then he goes to the heart. So men, be men of the heart. Be men of the heart. So that's what I mean by being relational. In the New York Times, Wilcox and Knock write, quote, "It turns out that the happiest of all wives in America are religious conservatives. Fully 73% of wives who hold conservative gender values and attend religious services regularly with their husbands have a higher quality of marriage." Goes on to say that if you want to have a sexually satisfying marriage, then be a man who's emotionally stable, emotionally intimate with your wife spiritually. Nancy Pearcey writes, quote, "The primary function for families is to build relationships. For better or worse, emotional intimacy is now the main glue holding families together. We are asking for more from marriage than any other time in history." So here's what we're finding is that there's less and less opportunity for emotional intimacy outside of the family in our world today. Mainly because of the technology that we have, kids are not connecting with each other like they once did. How many of you that are, say, over 50, you grew up coming home and then going out to play with kids in the neighborhood and stuff? Yeah, see, almost every hand. But if you ask a kid today, in most cases, they're unable to do that. They have no time. They literally have no time because school takes up tons of their time. There's a ton of homework that they're given, which I think in many cases is a disservice to them. And then they've got their thing to play with right there in their hand, and they don't have relational skills getting developed. Emotional intimacy and the ability in building strong relationship is the key to become a successful, good man. I said that so badly, sorry. Emotional intimacy and the ability to build strong relationships is the key to becoming a good man. Weak relational skills are the undoing of many a man. And the reason I'm sharing that is because that's our struggle. If you say, "Steve, I struggle with that," I'd say, yeah, well, you're like 90% of men. We struggle, we're never taught, we're never mentored in building strong relational skills in our life. But I'm telling you, it's the key to happiness, joy, and peace. So how do we develop emotional intimacy in our life as a man? I want to give you four thoughts. Number one, and this is probably the most important, develop an emotional connection with God. Develop an emotional connection with God. Not just a cerebral connection with God, not just a theological connection with God, not just a biblical connection with God, not just a renewing your mind connection with God, but I'm talking about an emotional connection with God. God is emotional. And David was considered a man after God's own heart, and he wrote 73 of the 150 Psalms. Those are emotional Psalms. And I think the best way we do that is through worship, through engaging in worship, putting on worship music, asking God to come and give you an emotional connection. Ask Him for that. Come to church, whatever church you attend, get there early. Be connected during the worship. Don't look around. Don't just wait for the sermon, but actually try to connect. Ask God to help you connect. For some of you, you probably need to sit on the first or second or third row at the church you attend so you're not distracted. And you just come in and you close your eyes, and even if you don't know the song, you make that 15 to 30 minutes a time of emotional connection with God. Men, you need this. God gave you emotions. The best books, the best songs, the best poetry, the best literature connects with the audience emotionally. Emotional. That's why we love story. That's why stories are so important to us. That's why we do testimonies, is because it's theology in action. It's theology being birthed in someone's life where we can relate to their struggle, and we see God show up in a mighty way. So number one, develop an emotional connection with God. Number two, build some true blood-stained allies into your life. Build true blood-stained allies in your life. Find some men you love and build that relationship. Stick with some guys. That's why we have what we have in the way of tables here. We want you to stay connected. And you're not going to connect with everybody at your table at the same level, but try to build a relationship with most of the guys there. And if everybody at the table would be vulnerable, like we talk about all the time, being vulnerable about our sin and stop the posing and be honest with each other, it will pervade the whole table. And there'll be a greater chance of intimacy with each other. And that's good for you. That's good for you. It's healthy for you. Number three, quit the posing and get authentic about your feelings. Quit posing and get authentic about your feelings. Learn the value of vulnerability and authenticity. Share your true heart with some men, and this will help in learning to be vulnerable with your wives. So there's things that you can share at these tables that you can't share with your wife. There's things that you can share with even a smaller group, maybe 3 or 4 guys, that you can't share with your wife. That's good. That's okay. God made us that way. And that's why you're here. We don't expect that everything shared here is shared with your wives. And there's different levels of vulnerability in different marriages. Everybody's at a different place, and that's okay too. But I'm saying that when you come here, I hope we're growing to break that religious spirit of everything's always cool and you're fine and you're the cool guy. Because that's the spirit of the age. That's a religious spirit that some of you guys are so religious, it's sickening. And you know, you ask them, how you doing? And couldn't be doing better. Couldn't be better. It's like, really? Today you couldn't be any better. Well, man, you have come to the wrong breakfast. Because I don't know why you're here if you couldn't be better. In other words, that's such a posing statement. I hate that stuff. So if you say that to me, I'll be nice to you and everything, but I'll go away going, he's a poser. Total poser. Now, I don't expect you to go, oh, man, I'm going through a divorce, and they're I don't need to know that. But somebody needs to know that. Somebody in your life needs to know that. Somebody in your life needs to know that you're messing around. So you need blood-stained allies. You need vulnerability, authenticity. Write that in big letters, in your Bible. I'm going to be an authentic Jesus follower. I'm going to quit the posing. And this doesn't happen overnight because, I know your fear. Your fear is somebody's going to stab you in the back. In other words, you're going to share something, and then they're going to go behind your back, and that's the risk. That's the risk. Everything that's valuable and life-changing has a risk. Now, choose your risk, who you're going to risk with, carefully, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's worth the risk. So first, develop an emotional connection with God. Second, build true blood-stained allies. 3, quit the posing. Number 4, and this is one you're not going to like. I'm going to close with this one. You're going to hate this one. You're going to hate it. That's right. Yeah, come on. Ask your wife if you have strong relational skills. Ooh. Come on. Ask your wife if you have strong relational skills, and then listen to what she says and say, Pastor Steve said I need to grow in this. Blame it on me. I don't care. But she loves you the most in most cases. She cares. Most of the time you need to listen to what she says. They're not, the Bible's inerrant. Our wives are not. So I don't want to elevate our wives more than they need to be elevated. They're just human beings like us. And they've been hurt, and they carry their own baggage. And some of them are so shut down from their past and their childhood that they need a lot of heart work. But I think we can be a part of their healing if we become emotionally stable, if we have relational skills that we're developing, and we let them know we're working on that. We're trying to do better in that area of our life, and I think that spurs them on also to good works by seeing what you're doing in your life. So I just want to encourage you that you have what it takes. Every one of you in this room have what it takes, and you can grow in your relational skills. And this is not really a point, it's more of a sub-point, because I was talking to Liz about it last night. Learn to listen. Learning to listen is one of the great attributes of building relational skills instead of talking so much. Most people are not interested in your opinion. They act like they are, but they're kind of sick of you always giving your opinion. And let me just say this, the more you give your opinion, the less veracity it actually has. But the more you listen, the more you learn to listen and ask good questions of others, the more people feel loved and appreciated in your presence. Thus, your opinion then is elevated because they know you love them. Same with your kids. Some of you guys have teenagers. You have young people that need less of your opinion and more of your ear. To sit out in the, like we have a hot tub in the back, and so Charity and I, that's my 18-year-old, we're in the back, and that's always where we connect with Dad asking a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions about how she's doing, her relationship with her boyfriend, different things like that. We talk about this thing, and that's sort of our downtime, but it's a time for me to learn to listen better to my daughter. And so learn to listen. So God bless you guys. Have a great discussion. Got some questions up here. Number 2 would not be for the singles in the room, but all the others I think will be credence to your discussion. God bless you guys.
That was a good word, Steve. So, hey, anybody at the first-timer table, if you want to stand up, you're going to follow me. We're going to go have a special meeting. Anybody else that's a first-timer that wants to be assigned to a table, follow me. We're going to be in the library. All the assistant table leaders from tables 1 through 30, go ahead, and you're going to be going through training this week and next week. Thank you.